In this forecast video, we are tracking Tropical Storm Julie as it is expected to strengthen into a hurricane and majorly affect Central America with flooding, as well as looking at the long-term forecast as we are expecting major Arctic blasts as fall makes its way on in. Alrighty, welcome back into another more weather forecast video. Let's get right on into the forecast, and as you can see, we are looking at Tropical Storm Julia here right now. Right now, this is right off the coast of Nicaragua. As we go into on Sunday, this will strengthen into a hurricane and make landfall in Nicaragua. The main impacts, though, as you can see here, are going to be that flooding. We do have those hurricane and tropical storm warnings along the coast of Nicaragua. There is going to be some damaging wind. There is going to be some minimal storm surge, but nothing too significant. The main issue here, we're going to be looking at flash flooding from all the way up here in Mexico, all the way down into Central America. We're going to be looking at widespread, extensive flash flooding, especially in those valleys, in those higher elevations. We are going to be having to expect those mudslides and flash flooding, especially if you live down here in Nicaragua, Honduras, into Guatemala and Costa Rica. We are watching for that flooding there, even up into Belize. And then as Julia makes its way towards Mexico, but is going to be weaker, it is still going to be a huge rainmaker. And the main problem here is going to be flooding. And again, if we look at the winds here, we're not expecting incredible winds. As you can see, we don't have great probabilities of having hurricane force wind speeds. Maybe there on the eastern coast of Nicaragua as Julia makes landfall as a Category 1 hurricane. We're not expecting this to be a strong hurricane, but it is going to drop a lot of rain in Central America. I thought I'd just add that onto this video because it is something pretty significant down there in Central America. If you live down there, you need to be ready for this significant flooding as we go into the week, as we go into later this weekend and into early next week, especially into Mexico, those valleys and higher elevations. We are going to be expecting those mudslides and flash flooding. So the main thing we're going to get into in this video is the we are watching some Arctic blasts to come in as we go into probably around next week. Now, lately we have been having ridges build up. During the summer, usually ridges dominate the United States. But now, as we go into fall, as you can see right here on the screen, we are seeing those cold air masses, weather systems in Canada, and we also do have an Arctic blast down here that is going to probably cause some colder temperatures tonight, especially over there in St. Louis. If you're going to the Cardinals game, we're in the postseason now. They lost yesterday. That was pretty disappointing, but there's going to be a lot of people there tonight. Again, make sure you put on a jacket or hoodie before you go out tonight, or even today. The highs are probably even going to be in the low to mid 50s into the low 60s over there near St. Louis, but we are expecting some cold temperatures in the Ohio Valley as we go into tonight. Make sure you have that jacket on as you head out today into tonight. But like I said, we have been having ridges because, we're not that far into fall, so we have been having those warm air masses, which are what we call ridges. But now as we go into fall, we're seeing those cold air masses shove themselves down into the United States, and we could see more weather systems come across the United States. Now, what is that going to equal? Possible severe weather, possible snow. Of course, not in, St. Louis or down into, Oklahoma City, into Chicago. We're not expecting that, but some lake effect snow up there in the Great Lakes region as these systems make their way down. We are expecting an active pattern of weather in here as we go into the future. We could be seeing some pretty significant weather, especially as we go into as fall really makes its way in. As we go into later in October, we could see these cold air masses bring down by these low pressure systems that are going to cause some active weather. And as we keep going here, as you can see, we do have that cold air mass in the east that's going to be causing some pretty cold temperatures. Our first frost of the season there in the Ohio Valley. But as we keep going here into Sunday, and then as we go into next week, we do see those ridges build up. That cold air is going to stick around pretty long there in the northeast and Maine, so make sure you're ready for that. We're going to have a few days of very cold temperatures up there in the New England area. But then as we keep going here, we don't see much. We see some rain, some moisture coming up here into the United States, and this is going to combine with a low pressure system that comes down from the north, bringing a pretty strong cold air mass. As you can see, that low pressure system all the way up there in Canada, but it's going to bring down some possible, severe weather, but definitely some rain all the way down into the south. The big line of rain and possible severe weather. We'll look at that as we go later into this video. But again, we're going to see this punch of cold air, and this is going to cause some cold air into the central United States, and then it will cause that cold air even off to the east. This could be even more significant than the cold air mass we're having right now in the Ohio Valley. So again, that cold air is really making a statement here as fall really comes in. Then by the time we go into Friday, this rainmaker is going off the East Coast, going to cause some rain pretty much from the central United States all the way to the East Coast. So a big weather system that we're going to have to watch. Now, severe weather is probably not going to be as big of a deal as we usually see in the spring with this type of system, but still we're going to have to watch for some storms there. And then as we keep going, now of course take this with a grain of salt, but as we keep going, by the time we get into not next week, but the next week, we see a huge Arctic blast making its way down. And this is a true Arctic blast. Now, it's not a true winter Arctic blast, but this is a true big fall Arctic blast. So this will bring down very cold temperatures. I mean, this would bring down 30s and even 20s into the Ohio Valley, especially there in Chicago, Great Lakes region. This would bring down very cold temperatures, especially for fall. And again, Great Lakes snow could be expected as we go later into October, as again, fall is really coming in fast here with these Arctic blasts, and this is going to cause active periods of weather, because usually with these cold air masses, they are pulled down by these low pressure systems, and low pressure systems are weather systems which make active weather. So again, this is something we're going to definitely have to watch here. And if we look at the dew points here, going into next week, when we have that chance for severe weather, we see a punch of warm air, warm moisture into the United States. Now, this isn't incredibly warm. This isn't March, April, May type dew points here that we see with severe weather, but especially down there in the south, we could see some pretty high dew points as we go into next week. And then especially by the time we go into Thursday next week, so mid to late next week, we could be seeing those dew points going up even into the Chicago, St. Louis region, into the Ohio Valley. And as these two areas of very dry temperatures and not very, but pretty warm temperatures and warm dew points is what I meant to say here, we could see some storms pop up on that line of storms that we just saw with the GFS model as we were looking at that over on Pivotal Weather. But again, this could mean, especially down there in Louisiana, Arkansas, into the Dixie Island, Mississippi, and Alabama, we could see some not very significant, but we could see some severe weather. Now, I looked at the Storm Prediction Center. They're not really picking up on this just yet, but we are pretty far out. We're many days out. So again, we'll just watch, stay tuned here for updates, especially if you live down there in the south. And then that cold air just punches its way down. And again, this is dew points, not temperatures, so it's not going to be 17 degrees in St. Louis. It's not going to be 12 degrees in Chicago. These are just dew points. These aren't temperatures. But again, this shows that we're having Arctic blasts, and that's going to bring some active weather, especially in the eastern United States, and we're really going to have to watch that. So that about wraps up this more weather forecast video. Again, Tropical Storm Julia, we're expecting some major flooding impacts over there in Central America. And again, active weather ahead. Make sure you stay tuned for more updates. That cold air is going to be making a statement. Let me tell you that. You heard it here. That cold air is going to be making a statement as we go into the coming weeks. We are expecting an active period of weather ahead, especially in the eastern United States. As always, stay prepared out there, and I'll see you soon with more weather.